Be honest. When you hear the word salvation, what do you picture? For some people, it's a moment, a prayer, a decision. And that's real. But the sermon this week zooms in on the part that we don't talk about enough. Coming into the kingdom doesn't just mean that you add Jesus to your life. It means that you step off your throne. Because you can't keep your crown and still call him king. Welcome to Sermon Takeaways, where we take the Sunday message and turn it into a short recap that you can apply to your daily life. This week, we're recapping week 3 of our Keys to the Kingdom series titled, Lay Down Your Crown, Pick Up Your Cross. If you want to watch the full message with all the detail and depth, you can click the annotation on your screen or use the link in the description. But for now, here's the big idea in one sentence. Entering the kingdom means surrendering your throne, laying down your crown, and picking up your cross. The main passage for this week is Matthew 13, starting in verse 44. Jesus tells 3 short parables back to back, and they're all trying to answer the same question. What is the kingdom of heaven actually like? First, he says it's like a treasure hidden in a field. Someone finds it and realizes what it's worth, and they sell everything they can to buy the field. Then he says it's like a merchant searching for fine pearls, and when he finds one pearl of great value, he also sells everything to obtain it. And then Jesus ends with a third picture, a net thrown into the sea, pulling in all kinds of fish until eventually it's brought to shore and there's a sorting. So the passage starts with the beauty of the kingdom, the worth of the kingdom, and the cost of the kingdom. And it ends with the reality that the kingdom is not something that you brush off casually. And that's what the rest of the sermon is built around. If the kingdom really is worth everything, then entering it means something has to change. The sermon makes this point really clear. Coming into the kingdom means you stop being Lord of your own life. You hand over the crown, the authority, the right to call the shots, and you give it to Jesus. That's why Jesus says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. And here's the line that basically summarizes the whole message. Salvation is free, but it will cost you everything. Not because you earn it. Jesus already paid for it, but because receiving it means surrendering control. Jesus says the kingdom is like treasure hidden in a field. A man finds it, almost like he stumbles into it, and then he goes and sells everything to buy the field. The point is simple. Sometimes people aren't even looking for God, and God meets them anyway. They're just living life, working the field, doing their thing, and then all of a sudden they realize this is the real treasure. And when you finally see the value of the kingdom, you realize something. Everything else you've been holding on to is way smaller than what you thought. Then Jesus gives the second picture. A merchant is searching for fine pearls. He's looking on purpose. And when he finds one pearl of great value, he sells everything and buys it. Now you have a different kind of story. You see, some people grow up knowing there's something real out there. They've heard about God. They've heard about the truth. And they spend years searching, trying different things until they finally land on the real thing. But here's what both parables have in common. Whether you stumbled into it or you've searched for it your whole life, the response is the same. When you see the value of the kingdom, you surrender everything else. The sermon uses the phrase from later in the passage, treasures old and new, and it applies it like this. Sometimes Jesus' parables can carry more than one layer of meaning. One layer is about us finding the kingdom and surrendering to enter it. But another layer is about Jesus. And that's where the sermon connects the treasure in a field parable to the story of Ruth. You see, Ruth is a foreigner, an outsider. She's in the field, vulnerable, with no leverage. And Boaz sees her, protects her, and ultimately becomes her kinsman redeemer. Now here's the picture. The Redeemer doesn't just feel bad for someone in need. He pays a real cost to bring them into safety, family, and inheritance. And the sermon points out something very important. There was another man who had the first right to redeem, but he wouldn't do it because it would mess up his own inheritance. And that's the real mirror for people. Because some people look at the kingdom and think, if I surrender to that, it'll disrupt my plans, my identity, my comfort, my control. And the answer is yes, it will. That's the point. You don't enter the kingdom while keeping your crown. Then the sermon goes deeper into the pearl imagery. A pearl is formed through irritation and suffering. It's created when something foreign gets inside of an oyster, and the oyster coats it layer by layer. So the pearl becomes a picture of something beautiful that comes through pain. And the sermon connects that to the church. The church, the people of God, are a treasure brought through suffering. And then comes one of the strongest points. A pearl only holds its value if it stays whole. If you cut it, it loses what it is, which ties directly to John 17, where Jesus prays that his people would be one, whole, undivided. Meaning, we're not a bunch of little rulers building our own little kingdoms. We're one body, one treasure, and one people under one king. The third parable is a sobering one. The kingdom is like a net thrown into the sea that gathers all kinds of fish, but eventually the net is pulled to the shore and there's sorting. The sermon makes this point clearly. There is a real end. There is real judgment. And the difference between righteous and evil isn't moral perfection, it's whether you are in Christ. Because righteousness isn't something that we can achieve. It's something that we receive. The sermon calls this imputation, the idea that Jesus' righteousness is credited to us. So here's the takeaway this week. The kingdom is not an add-on, it's a handoff. You don't negotiate your way in. You don't hold on to the throne and ask Jesus to help out. You lay down your crown and pick up your cross. And the wild part is, when you do that, you don't lose life, you'll find it. If you want to watch the full sermon, click the annotation on the screen or use the link in the description. And for more content like this, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and we'll see you next time for another sermon takeaway.